Welcome to the 393 Legacy, a Gorilla podcast. We are back for another episode with Sam Owens, and today we'll visit with him in a minute. A sneak peek into next week. It is springtime, and it is crazy, as always. And so on a little bit of a sneak peek, maybe more than just next week a little bit. So it's coming up this weekend, actually, as you watch this on a Friday, we will have our powerlifting meet, and so appreciate all the community volunteers in making that happen. Next week, we've got, once again, we're back to track, we're back to golf and all sorts of things there. And then the following Monday on the 15th, tax day, make sure you do your taxes, but tax day is a day off. We're going to be having some professional development and talking about poverty here in our school and going through a poverty simulation with all of our staff. So looking forward to that for our staff, and day off for the students, the last one, and then we're coming back, and it's go time until the end in May. So that's a little bit about what's happening here at Solomon next week. And yes, tomorrow is the day. You're probably watching this as we speak on a Friday. So hopefully you had the opportunity to check out the new parking lot. It is finally open. A little bit of delays, a little bit of issues, but we finally got there. And now it's a matter of just putting in the elementary playground, and we will be ready to go. They will start on that for a fact. They've been waiting because of the construction out there as far as the concrete curing and everything. So they'll come back in and they'll be installing the equipment here towards the end of this month, and then pouring the rubber. It'll be a rubber surface, and so we're glad that we received a Kansas Waste Management grant there for the poured in place rubber recycled tires. And so it'll be awesome, and excited for our kids out there in the pre-K through first grade to be able to have their playground up and going and everything, and opportunities for people to use that for parking as we get close to home track meets. And then we host the league track meet this year for the high school, and so that's great. There's 80 additional parking slots up there for the evening, so just a great thing for our community members and then also the visitors to our school district, of course. So all right, let's switch gears a little bit. Number one, I apologize. I lost my voice last night. I don't know what happened. I'm not sick. I feel great. So Sam, I'm not contagious. Trust me. I just sound I just sound like I don't know whether I want to be high voice today or low voice or lose it altogether. So bear with me, everybody. But we didn't want to miss out on the opportunity to visit with Sam. So Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell us maybe what some of your plans are next year. And then make sure you give a shout out to your parents as well.
I'm Sam Owens. I'm a senior, and I have 5 siblings. And then my mom and dad, we all live in the same house together.
Well, there you go. Yeah. There you go. So you've gone to school at Solomon for how long?
Since kindergarten.
Since kindergarten, 13 years, all the way through the system.
Yeah.
And I always lead off, and so we always like to give shout-outs. It's that time of year, or if you haven't, you need to reflect a little bit on that 13-year journey here at Solomon, and then the people who helped you get to the final destination, which is graduation. So let's start with elementary. Any elementary teachers who maybe you had a closer connection with and maybe helped you along your journey?
Say Miss Noggle.
Mrs. Noggle, you bet.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Noggle was your first grade teacher?
Right.
Okay, good. Miss Noggle's been with us for a few years. She's a very experienced teacher and does an amazing job with us. So, yeah, that's great. Yeah. Anybody else when you started your journey up for junior high or high school?
Junior high, I'd probably say Mr. Reardon.
Seems like a popular choice as you're thinking about high school.
Yeah.
What made Mr. Reardon and maybe Mrs. Noggle, then we'll get to your high school teacher, what made them so special?
They just made class more fun. Like, they both, they weren't, as, strict or, as hard on us. They, kind of understood us and worked with us more than other teachers did.
So they gave you a little bit of more independent freedom within the classroom.
Right.
Yeah. And structure is good, though, Sam. Structure is good. It's okay to have structure. So as you moved up to high school, who's maybe one or two teachers or a coach that has had an influence for you?
I'd say Stein.
Coach Stein?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of been a role model and been able to, like, I've been able to ask him questions if I need to, or if I need help with anything.
Sure.
He's like there to help.
And you might talk, your journey in high school was a little unexpected.
Yeah.
Didn't go as you had originally planned. Tell us a little bit about that journey, and I'm sure Coach Stein had a little bit of getting through a little bit of those tough times.
Yeah. So sophomore summer going into my junior year, I was doing like football camp and like the Kansas Wesleyan camp, and it was just a little bit after my birthday. I was in a car accident and I wasn't able to play football, and so I was just like an injured player, I guess you could say. And then I tried playing football this past year, but I just didn't think it'd work out too well and didn't want to get hurt or break anything again.
We'll come on to we'll come back to what you're doing here at Solomon right now. But Sam, I can remember the exact location I was when I found out about your car wreck. I can remember the impact it had on your whole class, and obviously with my son. And we were traveling back from vacation, and we were just outside of Columbia, Missouri. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget. It was a long drive and a quiet drive from Columbia to Kansas City, trying to get updates. And you've come a long ways from that, and you've battled through a lot, and so, which is a good story. Now there's a good story to it. The good story is you persevered. You had people in your corner who helped you, your family, Coach Stein, and people like that, great friends who supported you. And I'm just going to tell you, when you watch Sam golf, before we were getting ready, he wanted to know what the weather was like outside because it's been windy, and how golf practice was going to be. And with your injury, tell the group how you hold a golf club.
Well, my left hand goes on the top, and my right hand kind of goes on the bottom, but I only hold it with these two, my pointer finger and my ring finger. And then this one's just there, this one's just there, and I put my thumb on top. And Sam does an amazing job and beats a lot of golfers who hold it with all their fingers, and so that goes back to the perseverance and just like you wanting to do football. I thought you were crazy when my son came home and said, "Well, Sam was going to try football," and I was like, "What? Wait a second here! I didn't think he was supposed to do it." And so, but just the desire, and I think that's something that people don't realize it until it's gone, right? And going through that. Yeah.
So, but that was motivation to get back to do something, right?
Yeah.
So as we switch gears a little bit, looking at maybe beyond this year. So in school, you've been able to go to Salina Area Tech. Mm-hmm. What have you studied at Salina Area Tech?
I'm doing the auto collision and repair program.
Okay. So after you graduate from Solomon, you'll move on to Salina Area Tech, and how long will it take you to complete that?
I just have one semester left.
Just one semester left. So that goes back to our, as we start talking about market value assets, sort of a plug for us. But one of the things we try to emphasize with our individual plans of study is, do you have a plan after high school? It doesn't have to be college. Do you have a plan to make sure, and for you going through that program, you only have one semester back left that you're going to have to pay for, and then you'll be able to go out and be fully employed and make a decent living, and something that you love, and hopefully it's something that you love, right. And at least it's a starting point, let's say that.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just going to work for a few years and then decide if I want to go to college or not for something else. But
in your hip pocket, you have that asset that you can lean back on.
Yeah.
So as you're trying to figure out life, is every 18-year-old's trying to figure out where their place in this world is a little bit when you leave. And so that gives you something to where you've got something that is very valuable that you can use as you make that decision. Mm-hmm. So, Sam, you might talk, is there any stories that you can share on the air of maybe funny memories, moments? You got 13 years that you've been here, so I'm sure there's a few times, or maybe some highlights, either a funny story, or is there a highlight or a special moment perhaps in your journey that is really something you like to share?
I'd say last year, like going to golf tournaments, we went to did the I-70 challenge. That was exciting. We got to stay in a hotel with Spencer, Jake, Scott, and Kyle. And then regional golf, we stayed in a hotel again, same people.
You know, it's funny that the people that share stories are usually ones where there's a trip away, and it's usually staying the night somewhere or the trips to and from. Right. So for those that don't know, the I-70 shootout, we didn't go back this year because it's a long ways out there. But it's cool. They invite just schools that are along I-70 for a golf shootout, and they invited us to go. And we thought, yeah, what a great idea. But Waukini's a long ways away.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a little ways away. So it was a long day, and you played 36 holes.
Yeah.
So that can be a little tiresome, right?
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah. Any other memories or stories you'd like to share?
The sub-state tournament 2 years ago in Clifton, that was very exciting to watch. Very happy that we won and got a chance to go to state and play there.
Yeah, it's a cool memory, one that you'll always have. As we wrap up the podcast, any last words? You know, as you've been here for 18 years, and as you've transitioned through the school system, and as you start to maybe leave some words of wisdom to the younger generations and to those that are maybe in junior high transitioning into high school, what's something that you think that they should take with them?
I'd say like what they should do in high school, or
what's something that maybe you did as a freshman and you were scared of, and you realize as a senior that like, it's really not that big a deal.
Go out and try like the sports that high school offers and see if you like them. And if you don't, there's always other sports you can play. And always do your homework when it's assigned.
You might need to say that one a little bit louder. Your mom and dad probably want to hear that too.
Always do your homework when it's assigned.
By the way, you still have to do the homework until you graduate, right?
Yeah.
Sadly. Yeah. We'd like for you to walk across that stage. Your mom and dad would like for you to walk across that stage as well. How many days are left? Do we know?
Like, I have no clue.
Oh, well, that's great. That is awesome.
Say the 4th.
Well, that's good that you're not counting it down, so that's a good thing.
But 2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks, okay. And I do appreciate the wise words of saying that try something, and whether that's the sports side, as you mentioned, or trying an activity or an event, pep band, or whether it's forensics or Scholars Bowl or whatever it might be, STEM club, robotics, whatever. Try something, get involved in something, and it's always better when you're involved in it. If you don't like it, you try something else the next year. So good words of advice for the younger ones coming up. Any last things you like to tell the group?
I'd say everybody that's coming up to like high school or like middle school, I'd say to cherish the moments you have, because once you hit like sophomore year, it goes by really quick.
Isn't that true? It's you can't wait to get there, and then you're like, whoa, slow down a little bit.
Yeah, I heard people like saying like it goes by fast, and I was like, it can't, like it doesn't, but it really does.
13 years flies by, and when you get to those last 3, it's even faster. So those first 10 seems like it takes forever.
Yeah.
But, Well, Sam, you've had a great 13 years. Wish you nothing but the best next year and in the future. And I always say this is one of the great things is that once you're a gorilla, you're always a gorilla, and you'll be a gorilla alumni here May 11th at 11 o'clock. So best of luck as you finish up the semester, and best of luck next year. For everybody out there, we will see you next week with another senior, and we are nearing the end. We're going to get back and do a Facebook Live next week and sort of talk about some of the end-of-year wrap-up things. But until then, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next time on the 393 A Gorilla Podcast.